We just had the version 2.4 livestream for Honkai Star Rail, so now we have confirmation that the limited 5-star characters for the first half of the 2.4 patch are the new character Yunli and Huo Huo's Rerun banner. So today I'll be going over Yunli and Huo Huo's kits to figure out whether you should pull for one of them or skip for a future banner from a free-to-play perspective. So let's start with Yunli's kit. While we don't have the full information with traces and multipliers, the livestream did give us some info that we'll go over here. Yunli is a physical destruction character, and she's going to work similarly to Clara while still having some unique aspects about her. Yunli's basic attack just damages a single enemy, so you shouldn't be using it too much, if at all. But Yunli's skill is a blast attack that also heals her, which is nice because of her counters, which we're going to get to right now. For her talent, anytime she gets attacked, Yunli will counter with a blast attack. It also seems that Yunli gets some extra energy upon using her counter attack, but that'll be confirmed once we get her full kit. Next, her ultimate taunts all enemies and puts Yunli into the parry state, which gives her an enhanced counter attack. After using the enhanced counter, the parry state is removed. Lastly, Yunli's technique allows her to block enemy attacks in the overworld and parry them to begin battle. When this is triggered, she will activate her enhanced counter on a random enemy. While this technique won't be useful in endgame content like MOC or Apocalyptic Shadow, it could see some niche uses in the simulated and divergent universes. That's everything we know officially for Yunli's kit right now, and we won't get any more information until the creator experience videos come out, likely this coming Wednesday if they keep with the same schedule, so stay tuned to learn more about her kit then from those creators. Next, let's talk about Huo Huo's kit. She's a wind abundance character and has been a very strong character in both sustaining your team and providing buffs to allies. Her basic attack just deals damage to a single target. While it doesn't have any notable benefits, you'll likely be using your basic attack at times for skill point reasons. For Huo Huo's skill, she cleanses one ally and heals that ally, plus also healing adjacent allies, meaning that up to 3 characters can be healed at a time with her skill. Next, her talent further improves her healing by granting Huo Huo the Divine Provision state for 2 turns upon using her skill. Whenever Huo Huo has Divine Provision, allies will recover a small amount of HP at the start of their turn or when they use their ultimate. Additionally, any allies that are under half HP will gain the healing effect of Divine Provision 1 time when any ally triggers the effect for themselves. The healing effect of Divine Provision can also cleanse a debuff from the ally that gets healed, which can only trigger up to 6 times until Divine Provision is reactivated. Next, Huo Huo's ultimate is rather unique for an abundance character. Rather than focusing on sustain, her ultimate restores 20% of all allies' energy and gives them a 40% attack buff for 2 turns at trace level 10, which gives a good opportunity for some extra bursts of damage. Then, for Huo Huo's technique, it applies the Horror Struck state on enemies around her, which causes them to run away from her. If Horror-struck enemies enter battle, Huo Huo has a 100% base chance to debuff their attack by 25% for 2 turns. Now that we looked at her core kit, let's talk about her traces. Her first trace gives her a 1-turn Divine Provision at the start of battle. This is really nice as it eliminates any possible downtime for the effect outside of lacking the skill points when it needs to be reapplied. Her next trace gives her a 35% crowd control resistance, which makes it much less likely for Huo Huo to get CC'd. Lastly, her final trace allows her to gain 1 energy each time Divine Provision heals an ally. This will be really good for getting her ultimate up more consistently as well. She also gets 28% HP, 18% effect res, and 5 speed from her stat traces, which are all helpful when building her. So that's everything that we have for Huo Huo's kit, so now it's time to think about who you should be pulling for or if you should be skipping altogether. Before I give my thoughts on that, I want to remind you all that if you really want one of these characters, especially as a free-to-play player, then don't let yourself get swayed by people's opinions on the internet, because I think to really enjoy this game as much as possible, you should just pull for who you like at the end of the day if you're not worried about like, oh, I have to get this content done and everything like that. If you just want to have an enjoyable experience, using the characters that you like, then if you really like Yunli or you really like Huo Huo, then I honestly just go pull for them, because I feel like enjoying these types of games should be the main goal whenever you're playing them. But now, let's give my thoughts overall on the pull value for Yunli and Huo Huo. So, starting with Yunli, I think she's overall going to be a solid character, but I don't think that she's going to be very necessary in a lot of situations. From her kit, she's pretty much a premium version of Clara, with the whole counter gameplay. But also considering how Clara is in the game, which at this point people, at least in my experience and what I've seen, I feel like I really only see Clara get used occasionally in like pure fiction with follow-up attacks and not really like too much in other content. And I do think that while Yunli will probably end up doing more damage than Clara as being a limited 5-star, I also don't think that she is just the most necessary because of the sort of counter playstyle. Like she'll definitely have value and she'll be good, but I do think that if you already have Clara and you already have her built, that's probably going to be more than fine for you for, you know, having that physical character. But if you do really need like a strong physical character for your account and you feel like Clara is just not cutting it for you, then I do think that pulling Yunli could actually be very solid for your account, especially since I do think that she will probably do more damage than Clara, especially since, you know, I do think she'll also be a bit more consistent considering that she's able to heal herself regardless. Whereas for Clara, the only kind of like self-healing she gets is if you have her signature light cone. So yeah, if you're not looking for like an extra physical DPS or you don't really like Yunli a lot, I do think it's perfectly fine to skip her, but she's not going to be a bad unit by any means. Next, for Huo Huo, she does have a lot of value, and in my opinion, I think in most situations, she's going to have more value than Yunli. So Huo Huo can work both in the role of a sustain, and also she does have the support capabilities as well, so she could pretty much help any character in the game. And the only character that won't benefit from her extra energy through her ultimate is Acheron, since Acheron doesn't use energy to begin with. So depending on if you want to focus more on her being a sustain and keeping you alive with her heals, or if you want to focus more on getting her ultimate up, you may play her a bit more SP efficient, a bit more SP hungry. It really just depends on like what kind of playstyles, but it is nice that she can kind of go back and forth depending on what you might need in the moment. But I do think that there's two things that players should think about before they decide to pull for Huo Huo. So the first thing is that I think it's good to think about whether or not your account really does need another sustain character, because I'm sure a lot of you probably heard a bunch of creators talk about it already, but it is good to have at least 2 very strong sustain characters for your endgame content on your account, and we already do have a lot of very good sustain options in the game. Because right now, I would say that the premium like sustain options that I think can get you through endgame are pretty much going to be characters like Aventurine, Fu Xuan, Gallagher, Locha, and some of you might disagree, but I think even Bailu can still hang in the endgame as a sustain, and they can sustain you very well. So I think if you have at least 2 of those characters built, then Huo Huo might not have as much value for you because you will still be able to sustain in that endgame content without her. But she does also offer the extra buffs, which could be good depending on the team comps you're running to get some extra damage. But yeah, but in the event that you already have 2 of these characters built, I do think that you might want to just think about if pulling for a DPS or a support character might be a bit better of a choice for you, because in terms of DPS, we do have Yunli, of course, in this patch, but then also next patch, we have Fei Xiao, who's going to be a hunt character. So that could also be something there. And then also second half of 2.4, we will have Sparkle as well for a support. So if you really do need another support in your account, then I'd probably say you should absolutely pull for Sparkle. Then the second thing I think you should think about before pulling for Huo Huo is that we do already have confirmation that in version 2.5, Ling Sha is going to be coming out, and she is going to be an abundance character. Now, I know you might be thinking, but wait, we don't have any information officially on what Ling Sha is able to do in her kit, which is absolutely right. But if we look at the track record for sustained characters and limited sustained characters, they have all been insanely good. So I do think that Ling Sha is going to follow suit with that. And because of that, I think it's important to think about, are you just pulling Huo Huo because you just want another sustain? Or is it more like a need and you feel like you can't progress right now? Plus also, if you're like me and you like Ling Sha more than you like Huo Huo, just design-wise, then you might also reconsider that, because once again, I think it's important to also pull for the characters you like. But I do think that overall, I think that Huo Huo is just going to have more value than Yunli at all. So if you are like, I'm going to pull one of these characters in 2.4 for the first half, I do think that Huo Huo is going to be your best option, assuming obviously that you don't have both characters. But I also do see a lot of value in Yunli, depending on your account. But also I see a lot of value in just skipping both banners outright and waiting for either the second half of 2.4, which I will cover in a similar kind of video as well, because that I feel like there is just going to be more value in the later banner of the patch overall for the 5 stars. But overall, yep, that's going to be the end of the video there. Let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be pulling for Yunli or Huo Huo, and if you enjoyed and haven't already, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button, because the support is greatly appreciated. But thank you all so much for watching the video, and I will see you all next time.